Not all young people find the modern transition easy. Goshen College, a Mennonite institution, is fertile ground for an inner struggle, a choosing.
I think two things happened when I left home and got out to college. Was I realized, one, that the world was bigger in terms of, there were different kinds of people, there were different emphases, people thought differently. This is the first thing that hit me, and then the second part of that would be that some of these aspects which I was encountering that were new, were exciting to me and appealing, and which were what I really wanted in terms of a Christian emphasis and approach to life. That they were even more exciting and more dynamic than those that I had had in the past. Every freshman who goes home after being here for a semester encounters something different about things back home. There's a way in which he just doesn't fit in.
I think it's important if you can fulfill your life outside the home first. I would say that. At least for the young person that's getting married now, I don't think they're planning to settle down, have kids, bake pies, keep a clean house. But maybe I think you've got to be more concerned about the church in a secular society, and I'd probably be more excited about having a career.
What types of careers are the ones that are exciting you, and how do you feel?
I believe in a career before you have children, but I think after your children come, you should stay at home, like you said, bake pies and things like this.
Who said that our role is to have children? I mean, this has always been assumed that the Mennonites have 6 kids, they raise them, they, have this nice, stable family unit. Is this what we're called to do still? Well, maybe.
I think it's way too idealistic. I think what's happened is it's what I would call a pruning process, where you cut off the peripheral ideas, aspects of Mennonitism. I'm trying to get down to the core, the heart of what we sometimes talk about.
What do you mean by peripheral?
Like take the emphasis on separation from the world, to use the old phrase. I no longer distinguish myself from the world by my dress, by peripheral distinctions, but rather it's a kind of core matter, which I consider the most important thing, a kind of style of life, which is different, which is unique.
What about the values that you place in the field of the arts? Are you comfortable as a Mennonite in the contemporary scene, music, drama, and so forth? And perhaps I could ask you, DeLoss, as a man who plays a lot of jazz.
No, I'm not comfortable, especially in my home congregation. This is a big thing. When I first went home and this was learned that I was playing jazz, why, there was quite a few questions asked. The big question is, how can you be a Christian and witness and play? And so, obviously, I had to figure out a rationale for this thing, and it boils down to the fact that I tried to reason why I was placed on this earth. Here I am, a hunk of existing material, and I figured that if I was created for a purpose, and my responsibility is to create that. And of course, my media is music.
But aren't you really playing at jazz in an artificial way? If you are honest-to-goodness Mennonite coming from the rural soil, isn't this something rather artificial that you have?
No, it's not artificial at all. We as Mennonites have to go out and meet the public. The idea of humility in the performing arts is dropping away. The old idea of sitting back and watching the world go by cannot go on anymore. If you want to be a performing artist, which I wish to be sometime, I have to get it in fight right with the rest of the people. I have to associate with these people. And this might be my Christian witness thing, how I associate with them. I cannot isolate myself.
There's something ironic here about churches, and I think maybe it's indicative of some of the dilemma that a lot of us are caught in. You can't feel particularly Christian. It is from the eyes of others.
I feel Christian. But I don't feel Mennonite.
Dr. J. Daniel Hess, sitting in with these students, is an associate professor of English at Goshen College.
I discovered that my students don't want others to know that they could talk Pennsylvania Dutch before they could talk English. They don't want others to know that they wore coverings or plain coats. And one of the reasons I find teaching at Goshen exciting, because I can help some of these students to begin to express themselves. Back 10 or 20 years ago, when the Mennonite young man began to question some of the things of his home community. When he was investigating new vocations, he knew that there was no future in the Mennonite church, so he left. Now in my generation, there are church leaders who are sympathetic. There has been a lot of changing taking place, and they have anticipated the problems we would face, and to be sure, I faced them in graduate school. What do I do when I realize that some of the beliefs that they held very sacred are some that I do not accept in total, just as they did? And I found that I had to reorient myself. Will I continue to be a Mennonite? And if so, I would have to adjust, and so I think the church has had to adjust to accommodate some of the young Turks.
Well, the curriculum